Hello everybody, thank you for tuning in today. It's mid-July and we're trying to do a fireside chat a whole new way where the questions come in by email or mail or just dropped off, and then I try to answer those for you. So we've gotten a list of questions. We put all those together into one sheet to make it easier for me to hold on to, and I'm going to take you through the questions and try to answer them as best I can. So several questions came in that are related to the COVID pandemic that's going on, so we'll tackle those first. The first one that was sent was, have they discovered how the resident of Greenway contracted the coronavirus? And the answer there is that we really haven't. We have tested everybody who works in that unit, every staff member that works even with that unit, so all of the culinary folks and housekeepers. We've also tested all of the residents. And as you know, DHEC has stopped visitation, so there are no visitors to test. The only thing we came up with was one part-time employee who tested positive with no symptoms, and that employee has no direct contact at all with the resident on the floor where the COVID case happened. So we really have not been able to determine a cause for that. We just don't know, and I don't think at this point that we believe we ever will. Next question is, has there been any thought about allowing family members to visit? Now, we've got two different sides of the campus. I don't know which one this question came from. Generally, these questions come from the folks who live in apartments and cottages. So I'll answer both actually, so you can kind of get the relationship. On all of the healthcare side of our business, DHEC has stopped all visits. So we're not allowed to do visits there. We were talking about it as the team that's working to reopen Still Hopes in a systematic way, and we were beginning to have some conversations about that, but then the numbers of South Carolina cases began to really lift up and take off. DHEC was also in conversation about easing back on that for licensed facilities. They've stopped talking about that, and pretty much we've stopped talking about that. I think we need to see cases level off and then begin to drop, and we need to see better control before we be able to really have a serious conversation about allowing visitors back among us, other than the way we're doing them now, where you can have visitors outside, stay social distanced, everybody wears masks, and we're fine with that. But inside our buildings, I think for now we're going to toe the line and hold on to what we've got. So just to clarify on the visitation, those outside visitors are being allowed on the independent side of the house, visiting the folks who live in apartments and cottages. As I've said before, DHEC is the one that is regulating that on the healthcare side of the house, and they're not allowing any visitors inside or outside at present. So, next question is, if the virus is still out there, when the new apartment building opens, will those residents be moving in, or will they have to wait until it's all over? We do have a plan that will allow those residents to move in, just as we have a plan that's allowing residents to move into apartments and cottages currently. It will probably slow down how fast we fill the building so that we are able to keep all the social distancing and do the disinfecting and cleaning between moves, but we do intend to allow those folks to move in. Just like you, when you moved in, a lot of them are in a condition of that they've already sold a house or they've committed to selling a house. Some of them are already living in apartments with signed leases waiting to move in. So we're going to honor that and do the best we can. As far as we know today, we hope for sure that it'll be in more control by then. But we do have a plan. We're working with one mover who we have trained and who is doing a really good job. So we feel pretty confident about that at this point in time. Obviously, it's a long time between now and January when those actual moves will happen, and we'll see what transpires between here and there. Next question is, since the bistro has been closed and probably will continue to be closed for a while, is somebody checking and making sure that there aren't anything going on in there that shouldn't be going on? We do regularly do housekeeping in there, and we keep the air conditioning on. We continue to check on the air conditioning. We check on the plumbing. We check on the electrical, and we're in and out of there. Some one of us, and sometimes it's me, are in there checking that at least once a week, and generally more often than once a week. So yes, we are taking care of any area on this campus. We make visits to it and check on it regularly, empty apartments included. Next question, can we continue to sing in our small groups with Bill and for chapel services? And then the note is, it's the one thing I look forward to each week. We've had some conversations over the last couple of days with Sherry and with Bill, and this one causes us a lot of great concern. We know that in the big world out there, singing together in spaces has been a problem, and it has gotten a lot of press. So we're really concerned about that, and probably are not going to expand that program at all, and may in fact see a need to eliminate that as the numbers are growing so much, and there are so many people out there in the world who are coming up with the coronavirus at present. So it's one of those things where if we were to have a bad outcome from that, it almost guarantees that our community and your community are going to be on the front page of the newspaper in not a good way. So we're really looking at that, taking a hard look at it, but I don't believe we're going to be able to continue to do that until we get some control over the numbers of cases, and hope you can understand that. So I've also got a question here that says, thanks for all the good movies. Can we have one scheduled for the weekends too? Bill has let me know that he is working on a plan. It's not in the current calendar, so I don't think it will show up in your calendar until next month. But he is working a plan to do some movies on Sunday afternoons. So he'll be sending out information about that separately from the newsletter for now, and then it'll get worked into the regular calendar in the future. So now we had a few general questions. I believe that good daycare services are vital for young working moms and for reopening our economy. I would very much like to know the status of the Child Development Center that I understood was being planned for Still Hopes. Still Hopes is in the plans for a child care center for our staff's children, as well as for some community children at large. Our plan centered on a capital fund drive to fund the construction cost of that, so that it did not have to be done with debt, and so that it did not ever come home to roost in monthly service fees for residents, and so that it would be made affordable for our staff. When the economy tanked as a result of the coronavirus, our board did make the decision that it was the wrong time to be trying to do a capital fund drive. So we have put that temporarily on hold, trying to get through this time and trying to let our economy get some recovery so that the capital fund drive will be successful. Any person who approaches us and wants to underwrite that or knows a source through a granting situation or a foundation could change that on a dime, but today, as we stand, that's where we are. We are working with Lexington II School District right now because of some issues that are going on with the way school may be reopening in a few weeks, to see if there's a way to open up our daycare now in another building that the school district owns and let it run there until we can get the economy straightened out and can raise the money to build our own building. Too early to tell you how that's going to work out. Surveys are out now, both with our staff and with some of the school district staff. We would do that as a joint thing together with the school district to help both our employees and some of their teachers with childcare. I'll keep you posted on how that's going, but we're just studying it now and trying to see if there's enough demonstrated need for us to actually put a program together. Next question is, can you please update us on the connectors to the Wellness Center and Greenway? I can update you some on that. That's been a moving target, obviously. It has become kind of like the old days when we were doing Main Street, where every 2 weeks I told you we needed 2 more weeks. I've been told that several times by the folks with CF Evans. They did do a change out of superintendents at one point on the job. The new superintendent recognized some real flaws in those dates we had been given by the first superintendent, explained those to me and to Troy, and it made obvious sense to us that we weren't going to be able to do that as fast as we had been told or as we thought. That area is fairly complicated, still working with the city of West Columbia because their inspector has to turn that part of the building over and be willing for us to have traffic through there before the rest of the construction project is done. We think we have most of that worked out, and was told even this morning that by mid-October we should see that open up. I do know that that's important for you who want to make visits to Greenway, but I will remind you that even if it were open now, we would not be allowed to use it because of those rules with DHEC and the need to have that area closed from visitors. So the only people who would benefit from that right now would be some staff, and we really are trying to keep our staff completely separated so that nobody transfers from side to side of the campus in a 24-hour day. So right now, it's of very little use to us if it were open, but hopefully by mid-October, we will see that open up, and that will allow us also to get our Human Resource Office back in place away from the cottage where they reside now. Next question is the columbarium included in the new construction? I hope that the columbarium is included in the new construction. We carry a contingency fund in the construction, so it was not a piece of the construction for the apartments. But as we move through the project, and as we don't spend some of the contingency funds that we had for things that were going to go bump in the night, one was stuff that would happen under the ground before we got the foundations in. None of that happened, and we had some savings there. We've had some other things that have cost some money. But it is my belief at this point that when we get to the end of the project, we will have the funds in that contingency fund to build out the columbarium. So that's what I believe will happen, but I can't promise you that at this point. We're too early in the construction process to know that for sure. Then the final question we had to do with seeing that we see staff filling many jobs that are not what they normally do. They are our heroes, it says here in quotes, who have meant so much to our safety, happiness, and welfare. Can you share some hero stories with us so we know the tremendous extra effort they have given? They never tell us and they never complain. I can tell you mostly what I'm willing to talk about today would be fairly general. If I start being specific, two things will happen. One is I could get into some situations where I'm talking about specifics for an individual that they would not want shared because of their privacy. And two is I'll leave some stories out and maybe hurt some feelings. Let me tell you that your staff across this campus, the folks who work with us, have been amazing. They have done above and beyond in so many ways. There are hardly any who haven't stepped up to extra duties. Almost everybody has at least pulled their weight, and most have pulled more than their weight. There have been extra jobs to do. Things have taken longer. They're slower. They're more complicated, and everybody has taken to that task readily. So you do have a lot of heroes among you. They've put their own self at risk by coming here, especially once we've had a case or two that are positive. And they continue to do that. We have a couple of solutions cases out in the community at large where we're actually in the home because somebody there has coronavirus. And we've been able so far to find staff who are willing to, with the proper PPE, to go into those situations and provide that care and take care of those folks as best we can. We do have, again, we have heroes among us every day. They've done an amazing job and an outstanding job. And any staff member that you thank for their extra effort, you'd be hard-pressed to say that to one who hasn't put forth some extra effort. Long hours have been worked by many. Your department director team have been here long hours. They've been here on weekends. They've done work at home. They've thought about what's going on nonstop. Sleep has been lost for sure. Fretting has been done, but we've done a really good job as a team to design programs and ways to get things done that have been impressive. We've heard DHEC when we did the testing, the overall testing for all of the licensed areas, 300 and something people were tested in a 24-hour period. Their comment there was that what they saw us do was so well done, they wanted to take what we were doing to other communities across South Carolina and teach them to do it the way we had done it. That didn't surprise me, but it was nice to hear. we had a third-party cleaning crew come in to the neighborhood where we had in Greenway, where we had the positive corona case. So we had a thorough disinfection done of that building, specific to the fact that that case had happened. What we heard from that company as they were leaving was that this was the cleanest facility they had ever been in their entire career. So hats off to everybody. They're just doing a great job. And I thank you for your time. I'm out of questions, and we'll do this again in another month. Take care. Have a good day.